There's something really interesting about rare people. They have a mental armor, and this mental armor has a lot of different materials on it, so to speak. And the mental armor protects them from the vicissitudes of life that most people endure and just go through every day. They're upset about traffic, they're upset about the job they're doing, they're upset at their boss. There's a lot of things that happen to people that don't have this mental armor. I've made a study of people who have this mental armor, who go through life rather joyfully, cheerfully, and experience life at, let's say, a higher caliber than your average person. One of the things I started to notice from a very early age is average people have one definition of success and rare people don't. The average definition of success is I have a goal in mind. Sometimes I write it down, sometimes I don't. And if I achieve that goal, therefore I'm successful. And if I'm successful, then I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. I'm living up to the ideal I have of myself. And if I don't live up to that, I'm not successful, and therefore I'm a little bit moody, miserable, or I'm distracting myself by playing video games, going to movies, and not working, and maybe fantasizing or daydreaming of that success. That's how average people handle their failure. They escape it, they fantasize about having, ridiculous amounts of success when they don't have any success to speak of. However, rare people, people with mental armor, define success in a few different ways. The first level of success is they find success in the small things. Before I get started, they're feeling success even before they're successful. So I know a few people who make no money to speak of, have no worldwide recognition. But I look at them as successful, and they look at themselves as very successful. You'd never know them. You wouldn't. There's no newspaper articles written about them, but they're living their life maxed out, and they're maxing it out in ways that average people don't. So the first type of success that rare people enjoy is the success of small things, and this is based on sort of a historical observation that if you have a hot shower at night, that's success. If you have a hot meal in the morning, that's success. If you have a cool room to lay down in on a soft bed, that's success. If you get a massage, that's success. Now, why do they consider that a success? Well, historically, again, most people didn't enjoy those sorts of things. To have a hot shower, to have a bed to lay down on, that would have been the epitome of success. Imagine you're a guy in the 1500s, 1800s. You're trying to win a woman. Well, if you could say, hey, I have a hot shower, you'd probably trump the guy who had a castle. He had hot water on call. You'd be very successful, and you'd win every woman that you ever wanted. So that's one of the reasons they feel successful. And I guess from a spiritual perspective, they don't look at the benefits they have in this life as simply happenstance. They look at the things that occur in this life as them having something to do with it. Now, I'm obviously referring here to maybe some reincarnation and karma. Most rare people I've studied have a feeling that where you're born, who you're born to, the continent you're born on isn't completely random. Now, take that for whatever, or take it however you want to take it, but in my study, that's typically, they don't just look at it as luck. They look at it as God, or that God favors them, that they're elected somehow by God to live this existence. Instead, they see their own hand in some way at work in their present circumstances. So they take a little bit of pride in the fact that they have access to a hot shower. They don't feel like it just randomly happened. So this is just another, but that's very small compared to the feeling of gratitude they have, because they're not entirely sure that that's what happened. They just have a hunch. What they are sure about is that they're grateful for it. So this first level is a gratitude level. And if you go to Dillon.D.Freed.com, there's a gratitude generator. And I'm going to add a lot more to it and fix it up and make it look a little better. But, everybody says every night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. And most people end up writing the same 3 things over and over, and you end up losing the sort of good feeling you had the first time you wrote down your gratitude. So I created a random gratitude generator. So you can look at different things to be grateful for. I mean, look, I'm looking at my keys right here. You ever thought about how awesome keys are? To get in and out of places. Rares would be very grateful that they can lock their doors. That without a whole lot of cumbersome, sliding a log over the door to keep it shut, stacking furniture against it. So they really, they look at little things and they find gratitude in the little things. Have you been thankful for your internet connection? Have you been thankful for headphones? These little hairspray, for God's sakes. Imagine a long time ago you didn't have hairspray. What the hell did the world do? Or gel. You got to use gel. So they're grateful for those small things, and they feel successful about those small things, and they're always looking at the world with an eye of gratitude. Average people don't. They look at what's missing, what's wrong, what's lacking. The second form of success that they carry around with them is the success of good moods. Now, the first success may go away. Maybe the world gets into another world war and there's no hot water, there's no electricity. Maybe there's a terrorist attack that takes out the internet. Well, then all of a sudden, all those things that were the small successes, there's no hot meals, that's all gone. Well, the one thing they can control is their mood. Rare people are happy no matter what, or at least they're working on it. And the classic book on this is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. I always talk about this, and I'm sure I'll bring it up again, but one of the things that stuck out in Man's Search for Meaning was, they, in the concentration camps, that everyone was very, very hungry. Everyone was very, very hungry, to say the least. But some nights, they would put on these little shows, these little plays and musicals in the concentration camps. The Jews would. And sometimes they would skip their meal to go get the art. And I thought, wow, now that's something. You're starved. You ever been hungry? Imagine being so starved of art that you haven't eaten in 3 days, or let's say, and someone cooks you a steak, but then Beethoven's being played at your local music hall. Well, think about that. Would you go to Beethoven or would you have your steak? And according to Frankl, they chose Beethoven. So that's something, you can, in those sorts of dire circumstances, rare people do rare things. So I always say rare people do rare things at rare times. And their good mood, that can be stable even in a world that's tumultuous. You can be happy even as things are crumbling around you. You can keep a smile, you can direct your thoughts, you can let go of your negative feelings, and in those circumstances you become a leader. So they're in control of their good mood, and let's not be as drastic. Part of having a good mood is not allowing the little things in life, to upset you, to not allow inconsiderate people. Somebody was on the train the other day next to me chewing their food really loud. It's like, yeah, and you just you find it humorous. There's a humor in their good moods. I always say there's a part of your brain that becomes Seinfelded if you live in New York, where you just kind of get annoyed at the dumb stuff because it's fun to be annoyed about it. It's not an actual annoyance where your day's ruined. It's just fun to gripe and complain about things. But the rare people have a sense of humor. They like to maintain a good mood through that sense of humor, through self-deprecation, through fake or pseudo-annoyance at life circumstances. They love to do that. I had this one guy, he was so funny. He was a mentor of mine. I hate the word mentor. What a weird word. He was a mentor. He was an older guy who taught me some things. So one day I was waiting for him to come in, and he just bursts in the door, slams the door behind him. He leans up against the door, and he's, and everybody in there, what's wrong? What's happening? He goes, oh my God, they're all chasing me. We're like, who? He's like, all the women. He was like 80 years old. It was hilarious, So they do those little things to make life not just good for themselves, but good for other people, so that good mood expands. That's one of the guys I was talking about that you'll never know, who's extraordinarily successful and a lot of fun to be around. He didn't publish any groundbreaking books. He didn't make $1 million, but was he successful? You better believe it. He maintained his good mood up until his dying days, and was miraculously calm as death approached. If that's not success, what is? So some of the people you look up to that you consider successful, maybe you need to redefine what you consider success. And this this older man, also took great joy in his morning walks through the park. He took great joy in sitting down with his wife to have a cup of coffee and some cookies. Oh, yeah. I should also note, rare people love their treats. They love chocolate. They love a glass of wine. A lot of rares don't drink, but when they do, they enjoy the hedonistic part of life. One thing you could start doing now is when you wake up in the morning, have a piece of chocolate, read a poem, a beautiful poem, and say a prayer. Piece of chocolate, poem, and prayer. If you do those three things right when you wake up, you've already been a hedonist, you've already been a aesthete, and you've already been a man of God before most people get their day going. So do those three things, and your life will automatically be magically improved. Piece of chocolate, a great poem, or a piece of art. You could also look at a piece of art, piece of beauty, and pray. Say a quick prayer. Doesn't even have to be a long one. Hey, God, guide my day. Or if you're an atheist, say, let me act in the highest good today. Ask your unconscious and your reason to act in the highest good today. So that good mood maintains itself. Okay, so how else do rares define success? They also define success by having their bad moods. They like being upset. They like their hate. They like their anger. And by that I mean they've found a way to get excited when they find a flaw in themselves. Some flaws they realize they have to just accept. There's some flaws that, they're going to keep working on them, but it looks like certain flaws are going to be with them long term, and they have to mitigate them, but they enjoy working on them. And that's the thing. When you find something you don't like about yourself, you have to keep working on it and find joy in the working. The program I use is releasing emotions, the repressed negative emotions, along with coupling it with what I call truth psychology and some other things. So when I find something come up, some nights I'll have a dream. I'll go these long periods of time with no dreams, and then I'll have these intense dreams, and I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and feel this anxiety. And I used to be ashamed of that because, I want to be this guy who has no problems. I want to be perfect. And now I get really interested, really fascinated by the anxiety that'll come up, and I know what to do with it. So I feel like a success when these things pounce on me, when the anger pounces, when the anxiety pounces. And ironically, by being excited about dealing with that and facing it, they don't pounce as often. And when they do pounce, it's not as intense. But I had to go through some really intense states to get there, and I find that makes me successful. That ability to face those fears is something that's marvelous. And so rare people feel successful even when they're in a bad mood. The next form of success they feel is the success of effort. So there is a joy in just working. There's this great joy rare people get out of just doing what it is they love to do. I've been working on this one book for years. I love writing it every day. There's a success in that. And there's a major success. And friends around me are saying, publish, publish, publish. And I'm like, I'm having more fun just writing the damn thing. Once it's published, what am I going to do? But there's an effort. They take great joy in their ability to work long hours, and at the end of those long hours to feel refreshed, to feel non-exhausted. That's a great rare quality. And again, that old man I was talking about into his 80s was working these 12-hour days and had more energy than the 20-year-olds. But it's because it wasn't work and it wasn't play. It was just who he was. And, we say we want to make play work and work play. And, of course, that's true. But when you study rare people, they're not looking at work as play. They're looking at work as, this is work. This is my life's meaning. It's who I am. And that gives you a tremendous amount of energy. So rares really define themselves by the amount of hard work they put in each day. And they get great joy and success from that. Now, you can stop right there. You don't have to do anything else. And you are an incredibly successful person. And most rare people, for the most part, stop right there. That's success to them. Their success before you know them, before they make money, before they get the promotion, before they get the degree, before they make the team. They're already successful. So that's it. End of discussion. Of course, rare people also have goals like anyone else, like average people. It's just at the bottom of their list of what makes them successful. They do want, if they're building a business, they want it to be big. If they're writing a book, they want it to be popular. If they're singing a song, they want it to be popular. They want to be at the top of their profession. There's no doubt about that. And there are moments when this doesn't happen. There are moments in any rare person's life where you're aiming for this goal of recognition, of wealth, of status. You don't get it, and you'll have brief moments of intense anger because, one, maybe you think you're good enough and you're not being recognized. That's possible. And two, it's not as if rare people don't have doubt. Rare people can love a lot of things, and maybe they're not good enough to achieve the status they wish to achieve. And that can ignite some fury in them. But they still have the other 4 forms of success. Success in the small things, success in good moods, success in bad moods, and success in their effort, the joy of just doing what they do. The old man had a lot of hobbies that if he could have switched his career and taken one of those hobbies and been wildly successful, he would have. But he was wise enough to recognize that his hobbies, while he was very talented at them, very, very talented, it wasn't something people were going to pay for, and so he had to maybe make amends with that. But it's not as if rare people don't have the same goals and dreams and desires as average people. It's closer to the bottom. And it's not as if they don't get upset when those dreams, goals, and desires don't come through. Look, I work with a lot of athletes. If you spend hours and hours and hours in the gym, in the weight room, on the court, perfecting your skills, and you don't make it, it's totally normal, even rare people, to have a brief, intense moment of letdown. But again, they get excited about that bad mood. They find success in that because then they can go back and see, okay, well, it didn't work in this arena, but what did I learn? How can I carry over this work ethic? How can I carry over this method of attack to a problem to a new arena, to a new venue? So they fail in sports and they go into business, or they fail in business and then they go back to school. It's not as if rare people don't fail. However, I will say the more rare you become, failures start to separate out. They start to become rare. So failures start to become rare for rare people. Anyways, so that's the 5 types of success I see rare people playing with, engaging with. Most average people have 1 type of success. They either have this goal they achieve or they don't. And they're miserable. They're mostly miserable. They're frantic. They're salivating. They remind me of salivating dogs. Like there's the food and they want it so bad, but it's just out of reach. Meanwhile, rares are just taking it easy, doing things that make them happy, and they feel successful from the time they get out of bed till the time they go to bed, whether or not their product sells, whether or not their book sells, whether or not they make the team. It's not that they don't want that. It's not that they're not going to keep working for that goal. It's just that it's a different mindset. They have this mental armor. So the mental armor, while the world tries to tell you what success is and isn't, and whether you're a failure or a success, rare people have the mental armor that blocks all of that out, and they feel successful no matter what. So today, feel successful. This is Dillon. Please visit Dillon.Freed.com if you want to learn more about me. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Bye, guys. Thanks.